All right, everybody, welcome back to my TV program. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today, I'm going to be counting down, in order of my least favorite to my favorite, my entire 24-volume Ken Follett novel collection. So all 24 Ken Follett novels counted down till we get to the best. And I'm going to tell you, 90% of these books are fucking dynamite. I mean, I think that Ken Follett is one of my favorite writers. I think if you watched my top 10 favorite writers video, you'll know that Ken Follett finished way up high in that list. So I decided, for a lot of my favorite authors, I'm going to do a countdown, my top, I don't know how, is it just called a countdown? What is it called? So I'm going to be ranking. It's a book ranking. That's the word I'm looking for. I am going to be ranking all the Ken Follett novels. I'm not a bright person. Sometimes words come to me slow. Let's get started then. Let's get started. 24 Ken Follett novels. Hope I counted correctly. Paper Money, probably my least favorite and also one of his very first books he ever wrote. This is a thriller about high finance. High finance never makes for an exciting novel. We'll put that one over here. Okay. One of his other debut novels was the Modigliani Scandal. It's about people stealing priceless works of art. Again, these are the first two novels he ever wrote. So they finish pretty much dead last on my list. I skimmed through these. I remember reading them ages ago and just not really liking them that much, but wanting to have them in my Ken Follett collection because I love Ken Follett. Now let's get into some books that are a little better, and this is also one of his earlier works. Lie Down with Lions. A little bit about, some of the troubles in Afghanistan, but way back in the late 1970s. It's a thriller. You know, Ken Follett started out as a thriller writer. I think his first 7 or 8 books were thrillers, and we're going to be talking about some of those. But this one is a triple. This would be 24, 23, 22. This one would come in at number 21. This is triple. This is another early thriller of his that was kind of about the theft of, I think it was uranium theft, and one of those third world countries was going to get a nuclear bomb because of the uranium went missing. That's number 21. Number 20, let's see, 24, 23. The math is going to confuse the out of me. 24, 23, 22, 21. We're to number 20, and I'm going to be honest. So these were his first thrillers. Coming in at number 20 was actually the last book he wrote, came out about 6 months ago. It's called Never. I don't know if I really, really liked this one as much as I wanted to. I mean, it was his newest release. It's about the global warming. It's a thriller based off of global warming. I thought it was okay. I mean, it's a good Ken Follett book. Like I said, these fall into kind of the poor category. These fall into decent and to good. Here's another one that was sort of decent to good. Code to Zero, which came out in, let me see, when did this one come out? Probably in the mid-90s. No, actually the year 2000 exactly. And this one was about sort of the space race, I guess, between the Russians and the I read this in 2000. I honest to God don't remember a whole hell of a lot about it. I just remember this was good, but it didn't fall in the great, and we're going to get into some great soon. The Third Twin. The Third Twin. I mean, it's about triplets or something. It's about disguise, people that look similar to each other, people that have the similar thing. It's a very good thriller. They actually made a movie of this. It's one of those thrillers that deals with genetics. The Hammer of Eden. So The Hammer of Eden, another thriller that came out probably 2003-ish. I remember this one pretty well. This was about, okay, so 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18. Number 17 on our list, The Hammer of Eden. I remember this one quite well. This was about a group of terrorists that were going around purposefully creating earthquakes by pounding heavy things onto the earth. A hammer. Boom. I didn't know that was possible, but it was a great thriller. Now we're getting into some really good stuff. Everything from here on out is really fucking good. Really fucking good. This Whiteout surprised the hell out of me. This was like more of just, this was a simple sort of thriller mystery novel that was set in a house. Like, you know those old Agatha Christie mysteries where it's just, you know, Hercule Poirot on a train or a boat or a ferry, and all of the murder suspects are just sort of right there, and he has to figure out who the murderer is. This is Ken Follett's take on that, and I really remember being riveted to it. It is it's set on Christmas Eve in a manor house. I just remember that, and I remember it was just great, and the characters were all contained right there within the house, and the whole novel took place over a short span of time. Great stuff. That was number 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, where 16. So number 15, the top 15 here. We've got one of his newer ones also. This is The Evening and the Morning. This is book 4 in his Pillars of the Earth universe. And this is a prequel to Pillars of the Earth, set in the Viking Age. Absolutely great. Absolutely great. This is pretty much every book that I'm going to show you from here on out, I would say is close to a 10 out of 10 on the scale of just how badass of a book it is. And so we're getting started on number 15 in high fashion with The Evening and the Morning, the prequel to Pillars of the Earth, set in the Viking Age. It's just dynamite. Absolutely dynamite. Now, a sequel to Pillars of the Earth, set in the Victorian Age, A Column of Fire. I've read this one twice, actually, and I've really liked it. I actually read it when it came out, and then I read it not long ago on audible.com as I was driving through northern Arizona and southern Utah. It was a delightful drive with a delightful book. This is a sequel to Ken Follett's Pillars of the Earth series, and it's absolutely spectacular. If you love historical fiction, so just within these here, we've got some thrillers that are great and some historical fiction that's great. And those are the two genres that Ken Follett does exclusively, and the best. He does great thrillers and great historical fiction. Here's another one of the wonderful historical fictions, A Place Called Freedom. This book reminded me a lot of that novel, the movie, Far and Away, starring Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Actually, it's almost exactly like that. It's about people that are moving out of Ireland, Scotland, and England and is settling in America because it's the place called freedom. It's a great, this is just a dynamite book. I remember reading this one when I was a young person in the back of my parents' car as they were driving to Wyoming. That's weird how you can remember where you were. Okay, that is 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. We're to top 12. And I know I've done the math on this wrong, because it looks like we've got way more than 12 books here. A Dangerous Fortune. Speaking of knowing where you were, when you were reading something. This is a great, gosh, it's one of those manor house mysteries. It reminded me a lot of Downton Abbey era. I think it takes place in the same time frame as Downton Abbey, but there's a great murder mystery, and it's got this manor house that's involved, and all of the people that work there and deal with it. It's just absolutely good. And it also involves sort of like a school for boys or something like that. I read this in the year 1997. And again, it's one that I listened to as I drove from Sevier County, Utah to Louisiana. Don't ask me why. Monroe, Louisiana. Get this. I was driving from Monroe, Utah to Monroe, Louisiana, and I listened to this book in 1997 on cassette tape. And I remember it was a 24-hour drive. I didn't stop, and it was about a 24-hour book. And I remember just parts of Texas, and the sun is coming up, and listening to this book. I think that was 12. This would be number 11. Jackdaws, another historical novel, but also a thriller. A lot of Ken Follett's thrillers are also historical novels. A lot of his thrillers are involving World War II. This is a great, absolutely great World War II thriller. And I think this is the one that has the, I think it's the one where the women soldiers from France get involved in the war. And then Hornet Flight, another great World War II thriller, Hornet Flight, about a dude that flies a hornet in World War II. Sort of one of those escape books. It's just, how do we escape out of Nazi territory? Let's fly the Hornet out. World Without End, another historical thriller. This would be a sequel to Pillars of the Earth also. So now we are down to 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. God damn, I don't know what the fuck I'm at here. World Without End. Sequel to Pillars of the Earth. This is the direct sequel to Pillars of the Earth. Another great historical novel taking place in medieval. This is The Key to Rebecca. I loved this one. There were some scenes in this one that I still remember to this day. This is another World War II thriller. Set up in the northern Africa parts of World War II. The Man from St. Petersburg. The Man from St. Petersburg is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The seventh best. Seventh best. Man from St. Petersburg. A World War I thriller. This is a great World War I thriller set in World War I. This is about also a family drama. This is kind of like one of those orphan, who's my daddy type books, if that makes sense. Edge of Eternity, his Century Trilogy. Ken Follett wrote a trilogy called the Century Trilogy. All three of the books fit in my top 10. In fact, this comes in at number 6. In fact, all three fit in my top 6. This is book 3, Edge of Eternity. So the Century Trilogy, it involves 5 different families. It involves a family from Russia, Germany, Wales, England, and America. Those are the 5 families. And it's 3 books, 3 huge books that describe what happens to the generations of these families from the year 1900 to the year 2000. That's why it's called the Century Trilogy. And so this is the latter half of the century, and it's great. I love these. I adore these books. And book 2 of the Century Trilogy, Winter of the World, falls in at number 5. We're to the top 5 now. The Winter of the World falls in at number 5, and it is all the families that I described, and they this is about World War II-ish, that we follow them through World War II-ish. Let's jump to book number 1 of the Century Trilogy. Since we're dealing with the Century Trilogy, we might as well stick with it. Book number 1 is the best of the 3, I believe. They're all 10s out of 10. They're all riveting and dynamic. But The Fall of Giants is sort of centered around the World War I, and it's got our it's just a great book. One of my favorite books of all time. In fact, I left a review of this on the channel not long ago. Top 3. What will be my top 3? One of the most interesting mystery novels I've ever read. And it's kind of like Whiteout here, where it takes place. The Whiteout took place in one household as a mystery. Now, Night Over Water is my 3rd favorite Ken Follett book, and it takes place in this airplane. It's a murder mystery that takes place in this airplane as this airplane flies from England to the United States during the early stages of World War II. It is an absolutely great murder mystery because our characters can't go anywhere. They're stuck on this plane, and this plane, the book is dope because it's got a map of the route of the plane takes, and then it also has a little map in here of the inside of the plane and where every character is sitting and who they are and what relationship they have to each other. And so it's really easy to keep track of the geography of the plane, the inside of the plane, plus the characters and who are there. It's one of the most brilliant mysteries I've ever read. And it's also full of a lot of historical, interesting tidbits. That is my number 3 ranked Ken Follett book. Put that there. Number 2 is the book that put this man on the map. This is the book that made him an international superstar in the writing community. That is The Eye of the Needle, the quintessential World War II thriller, mystery, novel, historical fiction, whatever you want to call it. The Eye of the Needle is quite possibly the perfect thriller. It is absolutely dynamite from page 1 to the end page. I've probably read this 6 or 7 times, and there are scenes in it that I can recall vividly, especially the opening scene and the closing scene. Ken Follett's Eye of the Needle, number 2. Now, of course, coming in at number 1 is his most famous novel of all time, probably one of the largest selling novels in the history of the world, and that is Pillars of the Earth. I don't think I even need to say more about this. This is a huge novel, but a simple novel about people that dream of building a cathedral in their community in southern England. And you'd think that would be a boring premise for a book, but holy shit. This book has more riveting drama in it, packed into its pages, than any book ever. And Ken Follett does a masterful job of giving us wonderful protagonists to root for and deliciously evil villains to hate. And it's just the interplay between all these characters as they try to get this cathedral built. And it is unbelievably good. It is almost like one of our literary treasures. It will probably go down in history as one of the greatest books ever written. And that is my number 1 ranked Ken Follett book. I hope you enjoyed the show. If any of these look interesting to you, pick them up. I know I did an absolute shit job of describing some of them because it's been a long time since I've read most of them. But anyway, there you have it.